When we talk about the anime eras, usually people like to define them by decades, whereas there's 90s anime, the 2000s anime, the 2010s, and as such, not only are we entering and actually in the beginning of a new era in anime, but a new whole decade as well, which means there is still a whole amount of possibilities that could happen in the anime community. So I thought this would be a fun little video that I can make today and talking about some of the possibilities that I see for the anime community and anime as a whole within the next 10 years. Starting with the biggest and probably the most possible one is the improvement of animation, and we already saw a glimpse of what animation could really be in 2019. Shows like Promised Neverland, Vinland Saga, Dr. Stone, Fire Force, and Demon Slayer, along with Mob Psycho, have shown spectacular and phenomenal animation almost across the board, and that was at the butt end of the era and decade of 2010. We're now in 2020, and while we haven't seen many things out of the norm just yet, I have a huge inkling and prediction that we're going to be seeing not only some crazy art, some crazy designs, crazy animation, but things that are very abstract in its implementation. One example of this great changing art form is the fact that eye design is now drastically changing. We are no longer staying with the regular eye design that we've had for the last 10 years, where things are way more detailed and way more shaded. We are actually going into an era of anime where eye design is becoming vastly different. We've already seen this with Fire Force and Demon Slayer, where we don't get the actual typical eye design. We're getting some variation or an artist's take on that own world's eye design, and we've already seen that with a few 2020 anime as well, with God of High School and Glepnir. We are only at the very beginning of animation in 2020, and I can't wait to see what lies ahead. If this is how 2020 is going to be starting, with phenomenal, crazy animation out the wazoo from old and new anime, I can only expect what, not even 10 years, but 3 or 4 years of development in the anime community will bring. I am excited about it all, and I can't wait to have my mind and artistic vision just blown away. Another thing I want to talk about is the idea of anime actually being normalized. Now, anime has become vastly popular within the last few years, and it wasn't just, oh, it happened overnight. This happened over time. In the 90s and 2000s, if you were into anime, it was a very niche thing, more niche than Marvel and DC superhero comic type stuff. And even in the 2010s, while it was still growing, it was still this weird thing that was kind of looked down upon. Nowadays, people don't look down on it as much as they do, but there is a bigger anime community out there and more people to appreciate the actual art that anime has to offer and give into the world, rather than everyone just kind of shitting on it and you being that sad kid that's just watching One Piece in the corner, sadly crying to himself that, you know, he's getting bullied for it. It is amazing and great to see the anime community and the anime industry just grow so rapidly to the point where people are wanting to capitalize on everything anime. And honestly, I can see that by the end of this era or the end of this decade of anime, that we actually do get to see a very heavy normalization of anime, where maybe you can flip the channel and you can just see it on just a regular show and animation on Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon or Disney Channel. Maybe you can go ahead and you can walk into some frat party at college and they're actually going ahead and they're watching things like Dororo. Or maybe you can go ahead and find the popular girl in school, the cute cheerleader blonde, and she actually tells you that her favorite anime is Made in Abyss. This is the type of normalization where even on the level of American animation. That is the level that I see, and I at least hope anime could get to by the end of the decade and the end of this anime era. Now, while there will be ups within this era of anime, there also is the possibility of having downs. And one of the biggest downs that I can see at the very least, or at the moment I can consider a down, is live action anime. With the rapid growth of anime's popularity, obviously there are going to be many of people who are going to try to capitalize on it in any way they can, whether that's merch, music, conventions, any type of way, and one of those ways is live action anime adaptations. Now, there are very, very few ones that are actually good, such as the You Lie in April adaptation and the Alita Battle Angel adaptations. I would consider those good anime adaptations, but for the most part, a lot of them haven't been great, and for the most part, they haven't lived up to any of the hype that any of them bring. Now, they're nowhere near the level of the live action adaptation of the Dragon Ball movie, and I hope I never have to bring that up again in any video or channel that I make. However, they're still not up to par with some of the quality that the anime brings onto the screen versus the live action adaptations. And it does bring some to question whether or not it's actually possible to go ahead and make these adaptations just as better quality, or at least equal quality to what it's adapting to. Personally, I would not be surprised that if we get a few more dunce, that Hollywood and any type of other film industry is just going to completely give up on the idea of making live action anime adaptations. Because in my opinion, the way I see it, those are very difficult to do. There's a process and there's an idea behind it, but those are really, really hard to do. But, of course, if you can't capitalize on the growing popularity of anime through the form of live adaptations, then you can always capitalize on it by actually adding more to the animation medium, which goes into my next point of potentially seeing even American anime studios pop up within the next 10 years. Now, of course, a lot can happen within the next 10 years. It could happen and we could see an oversaturation of studios in America flooding the whole anime community with just tons of anime. But it's not out of the realm of possibilities. I can definitely see some American studios potentially capitalizing on that. The only bridge that I would have to see that needs to be crossed is the idea of anime strictly being Japanese. We've already seen a more broadened version of that through my anime list, where they don't just list it as Japanese, but they also list anime of the animation creation through most Asian countries. So Japan, Korea, China, Taiwan, those countries, when they make animations, it can be considered anime. However, I don't know if we get anime American studios and they actually are able to produce something that the community will actually accept. And that just doesn't go for America as well. There's Canada, France, Germany, Sweden, so many places that can make animation, and the community just might not accept them because they're not Japanese. And honestly, that's a bridge and topic that this era might have to tackle, which is why I'd be very interested to see the sprout of non-Japanese anime studios actually coming out and not just being distributors and licensors. Now, the last possible thing that I can actually see, and honestly, I want to make a whole video about it, so I'm only going to lightly touch on it now, but it's the idea of a new Big Three actually being crowned. Now, I understand that the Big Three was originally talking about the best-selling manga from Shonen Jump, and through the anime community, it evolved to more of just being the best anime of, well, not all time, but at least in the current era that it was. But we're in a new era where we're getting tons and tons of new anime. So the possibility of actually going ahead and getting whole brand new big 3 selections is amazing. And we're already seeing that with contenders like My Hero Academia, Black Clover, Demon Slayer, Fire Force, Vinland Saga, Promised Neverland, Attack on Titan. The list goes on. And I will be making a big 3 video very, very soon. It's only a matter of time until the changes of wind come, or the winds of changes come, my apologies. And that's going to be it for the most part. That's kind of all the predictions I have for the next 10 years of anime. Whether any of them come true, I'd be very surprised, honestly. And I'm going to be honest, I kind of hope some of them really don't, i.e. the live action one. But other than that, I want to hear what you guys think is going to happen in this new era of anime. Leave a comment down below, and if you like the video, make sure to give it a subscribe, give it a like, and share it with some of your friends. And remember, make sure to stay hydrated, people. My name is Mize, and I hope you enjoy the video.